poppin', guys, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for giving me all the love and support that you guys have been giving me. I'm sorry that I left you guys hanging with part 4, but as I promised, it will come. I will continue telling the story, and I hope you guys know that there are other stories that I plan on telling, so this is not the only one that you guys should fixate on. I'm probably just gonna give you like a background of everything, yeah, like I said, so it can tie in with these eyelashes. Why did I wear them? So I can tie it in with like all the themes of my channel. Today I'm gonna be doing a Q&A video. I asked a few of you to ask me any questions because I was getting a lot of comments. I asked a few of you to ask me any questions regarding me being a single mom, or my experiences being a mom, or just really any questions just to do with me and my motherhood. So yeah, I think there's about 30 questions. In some questions there's like the questions as they came, I guess. How old were you when you fell pregnant? I was 16. If you watched the other videos, you will know that I was 16. How old were you when you gave birth? I was 17 when I gave birth. So I conceived. This baby was conceived, actually no, the actual date was conceived in June 2018. And I gave birth in April 2014. Where did you give birth? I gave birth at Scottish Livingston Memorial Hospital in Mulapolole. How was the experience of giving birth? It was painful. Very painful, like extremely painful. The labor was long, but giving birth was pain pretty much. But also like I felt like I accomplished something, like something really hard once it was over, which was nice. It was gratifying at the same time. But yeah, I'm gonna do a whole story time on my experience with giving birth. Yeah. The next question says, what were your fears before giving birth? I was afraid of how my parents would... Okay, this is before giving birth, right? Yeah, I was afraid of the hospital, like the things that I heard about giving birth in government hospitals. I was afraid of tearing, like my Mustang down there, tearing open. I was afraid of losing too much blood and dying. I was afraid that they would swap my baby out at the hospital. Yeah, I think those were my... Were you on medical aid? No, I wasn't. Well, I was, but I was under my parents' medical aid, which doesn't cover my child at the time. Yeah, which doesn't cover my child, which means it doesn't cover my birthing expenses or anything of the sort. So when I gave birth, my birthing experience was not covered by medical aid. It was just covered by, the government, because I went to a government hospital. Which was the most challenging trimester in pregnancy? I think I actually had a fairly good pregnancy, but okay, I think the most challenging trimester for me was the first trimester. And sorry, my back is so sore. Yeah, the most challenging trimester for me was the first trimester, but I don't remember much of it because one, I didn't know I was pregnant at first. Like it wasn't confirmed, but I was scared. So I was living most of my time in fear and anxiety. I was already depressed before I fell pregnant. So when I did fall pregnant, it was almost as if the depression escalated. Yeah, I had lots of cravings, when I fell pregnant. But obviously because one, it's not confirmed. Two, when it was confirmed, I hadn't told many people yet. So it was kind of weird when I was craving stuff. But like I had a small circle of people that knew, very small circle. It was very difficult being in school, gaining weight. Yeah, I had gained weight, like I couldn't fit in my uniform. So I started being stubborn and wearing other kinds of uniforms. So I used to get a lot of, uniform that wasn't allowed at school. So I used to get a lot of slack from the prefects because they didn't know what was going on. I looked so rebellious. I used to crave ice pop a lot. And I'd have to send my friends to get me ice pop from outside the gate after lunch. But waiting for after lunch was so hard. So yeah, first trimester was difficult because there was a lot of transitioning. I was in school, then I was not in school, then there was just a lot going on. Pretty much. So between you and your parents raising the kid, how much influence do you have? How is it finding balance? It's difficult because after I gave birth, I was with my son, and I was at home for almost a year. And then my mom was working, I was living with my mom. So I was with my son a lot, which means the influence was mine, except when it came to like buying things. But obviously if I told my parents, okay, I need ABC, they would give it to me. Now that my son is older, especially in the past year, because I've moved back home. I used to live alone, I used to take care of my son, make enough money. Now I've gone back to school, so now I'm dependent on my parents, which means my parents call the shots. They are the ones who determine what school my son goes to. They are the ones who determine whether or not we are going for so-and-so party at wherever place, because they call the shots because, you know, we are living from their pocket currently. So yeah, it's kind of hard. But yeah, right now I don't call the shots, but I'm a very active parent, like hands-wise. I'm very hands-on with the kids in the home. I just can't do what I want when I want because I don't pay for things anymore. So it's painful, but I guess it is what it is. It's a sacrifice I had to make so I can work towards my future, so I can call the shots then, not now. How do your peers look at you when you tell them you're a single mom? I'm assuming this question refers to like strangers, not my friends. When I tell strangers that I'm a mom, they're like, oh, okay, you don't look like a mom. You don't have a mom body. I don't know what a mom bod looks like. But yeah, they don't treat me any type of way because it's kind of becoming okay. Like, it's becoming accepted that people have kids now, especially at my age. Like, I'm going towards my mid-20s and more people are having kids, so it's becoming more and more acceptable. But when I was in my teens, I was like, oh, how is it? You know, they'd be so intrigued. They'd ask questions. Where's the baby? Can I see a picture? My peers took it well. It was always the adults who were like, oh, okay. Like they felt, adults feel sorry for me. My peers don't feel sorry for me. It's like all good with my peers. Did having a kid motivate you to do better? Yeah, in a way. It's motivated me not to let my emotions get the best of me all the time. Like, I don't know, I feel like with my struggle with mental health right now, I probably would not be alive if I didn't have a child to live for. And if I was alive, I'd probably be like super rebellious, like super not caring about it. Or I'd be super ambitious, like one of the two. But having a child did kind of give me that balance that I needed in my life to get it together. What do you enjoy doing with your son? This is a fun question. I enjoy watching movies with him. Yeah, I enjoy watching movies with him. I enjoy just talking. We enjoy taking videos together, like random snaps during the day. But what I enjoy the most is like when we're driving around town together, because we listen to music and we jam to music together. It's always a fun time in the car with him. It's always fun when we're in the car together because we enjoy. That's like the best time. If I'm picking him up from school, we listen to music, or if I have to drop him off, yeah, music time is always the best. What advice would you give to someone about to be a young single mom? The best advice I'd give is be patient with yourself. Don't ever think that, you know, because you're not providing financially for your child, or because you had your child early, that means that you're a failure or you're gonna be a bad mom. What else? Be very open with your child. Like, you're young, the age gap between you and your child is, you know, smaller than the age gap between somebody who had the kid when they were finally stable. Enjoy the bond that age gap gives you. Enjoy it. Have fun with your kid. Have fun taking care of him. Cherish all, or him or her, your baby. Cherish all the moments. Don't be scared. Don't care what anybody else says. Although it may be hard, don't hide your pregnancy. Don't not take pictures, because if few years down the line, you're gonna want to see those pictures. You're gonna want to show your child pictures of your pregnancy. So take a lot of pictures, cherish the moments, create a bond with your child. How do you balance between making time for your son and pursuing relationships? Whew. Yeah, this is a tricky one. Honestly, okay, here's the thing. If you find yourself number one, like the number one rule is that your child is an extension from you. You and your child are a package deal. So you should always know that whomever you date should accept your child too, and you should let them know from the very beginning that, look, I'm a young mom, so I won't always be able to leave the house whenever you want me to. I won't always be able to go clubbing. I won't always do. So finding balance can be tricky sometimes, but my key is that I've always dated people that have always been okay with having my child around. By date, I mean be in a relationship, not casual dating, because you don't take your kid to a casual date, like when you're still getting to know someone before the relationship. You don't do that. You just let them know that I have a kid. But otherwise, the people who I've dated, and I like to think I've been in only two serious relationships, the people who I dated, they were cool with my kid. They also have kids, so yeah. What kind of mom? I don't even think I really answered that question properly. Hey, how do I find balance? I hang out with the person and my kid. At least like half the time when I'm with that person, we are with the kid. Because being a mom doesn't stop. That's the answer to the question. What kind of mom do you think you are? I think I'm an okay mom. Like, I'm very relaxed. I'm cool. Whatever my son takes interest in, I'm down for. I encourage my son to do a lot of things. So I think I'm like very relaxed, very calm, not very strict, which can be terrible sometimes, but I'm not too strict. I'm not strict at all, really. I'm a fun mom. The next question says, how was the experience carrying a baby? I know it's different for everyone, but did you feel like a superhero having a little human growing inside? The experience carrying a baby, I went through a lot of emotions because I didn't have I was not in a relationship when I was having my kid, so I didn't have somebody to tend to my every need. In fact, I think my brother did that for me. Like, he was such a gem. He used to rub my ankles and rub my back. He was so little at the time. Like, he was probably like 11, yeah, when I was pregnant. So having a baby inside of me was nice. It was scary. I don't think I felt like a superhero because I was scared half the time. And when I finally told my mom, it was a very joyous thing, but I didn't feel like, oh my god, I've conquered it all, until I gave birth. And I was like, yeah, man, like, yeah, women, yeah, we are strong human beings, because giving birth is not a joke at all. Yeah, that's how I felt. Did you suffer from any form of postpartum depression? If so, how did you overcome it? I don't think I suffered from postpartum depression per se. I think when my son was little, I enjoyed it. I was sleep deprived, so I was grumpy half the time, but that was also because, when they tell you if your child is sleeping, sleep too. I didn't do that. I was being a typical teenager. I was binge watching Vampire Diaries. Yeah, so when I had to sleep and the kid didn't want to sleep, I got grumpy sometimes. I didn't have postpartum depression. I got depressed a while after. Like, maybe I don't know if postpartum depression can kick in like a year after you give birth. But that's when I started feeling myself slipping into depression. Like, when my son turned 1, I started getting sad, like, wow, we've reached the 1-year mark. Baby daddy is nowhere to be found. So I'm still here. I have to go to school now. Struggle. So I don't think I experienced it, unfortunately. I wish I could. I wish I had, so I could help you or give you answers, but... Then the next one says, Khamer has a question. You're a great mom. Telekilibile your videos, little man nyama. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. I love your bond. Thank you. Thank you so much. How are you going to prepare your son to contribute positively to a world that continuously teaches the girl child that he is superior to. Heavy question, but I want 4 sons and I think about this a lot. Hey, how am I going to prepare my son to contribute positively to a misogynistic world? Well, generally, I think because my son has not had much male influence. 1, my dad is not really the talkative type. 2, I don't live with my brother anymore. We live with my dad. My son and I live with my dad, but my brother lives with my mom because my parents are split up. Right? Family dynamic. Yeah. So he doesn't really have much male influence. So he sees a lot of me and he sees the emotions that I go through. But besides that and him being not super soft because he's still a boy, but him seeing the things that I go through, I tell him, like, we live with my sister who's a year younger than my son, but I always tell him, you don't hit girls. He doesn't hit her. Sorry, my nose is itching. I tell him all the time, don't hit girls. He doesn't hit her. And then he used to get mad a lot every time I do something for her first or whatever. And he's like, I want you to do it for me. And then I had to tell him, you know what, ladies first. So I taught him ladies first. Like, you protect ladies, you love ladies. So now he's very protective of my sister, who is his aunt, who is a year younger than him. My family dynamic is very interesting, but he's very protective of her. I know, even though that they are growing up together and they fight a lot, when he asks for things for himself, he's like, Mom, can you buy me, let's say he asks for ice cream. Mom, are you going to the shops? Could you please buy me ice cream? Please also buy for Queen. He does that. So he always caters for my sister. He's practicing his chivalry on my sister right now. Sometimes if she can't carry something, he'll carry it for her. If she gets bit by something inside when they're playing or gets scratched, come, let's go, I'll take you to Mama, she'll clean you up. Like, he's very sweet. There was an incident actually where I dropped them off at school, and there was, sorry, my dad's walking outside again. Yeah, I dropped them at school, like at preschool, and then there was another set of kids that were coming with their parents. So the youngest kid is a little girl. And when we were walking in through the gate, I opened the gate for them to go in, and all the kids rushed in, and then there was the little kid left behind. So he went back for her and he held her hand, and then he walked with her, and the dad to the kid was just looking, and then he's like, no, Mom, you can go. It's okay, I've got her. Bye guys. And he starts waving at us, and he's walking with the little girl's like the youngest, you know, the very early class in preschool. And Liam was in the leavers class in preschool. He's like, no, it's okay, we're going. Bye, Mom. Say bye, Mom. Then he made the kid say bye, and he walked her to her class, and then he went into his class. I was like, wow. Even the father to the kid was like, wow, you're raising a gentleman. So I think it's just a matter of telling him, and also him getting practice with my sister. And every time he does something wrong, I have to correct him and tell him, that's not how you treat a lady, don't do that, and he stops. The next question says, what are the lessons and warnings that you wish you had known about motherhood before you got there? Okay, 1, I wish I knew the amount, like how much motherhood changes you. You're still yourself, but it's almost as if like your identity warps because you have this whole huge role to fill now, which is being somebody's mom, and you kind of have to incorporate your character. You being a mom now becomes the main role, and then you have to incorporate your character, like, into that role and make sure that it works perfectly to accommodate your child, because now your child precedes you and your needs. Your child is everything, literally. So I wish I had known that. I knew that your child is everything, but the feeling kind of changed. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just something you need to experience. I also wish I knew that kids are expensive, but like, I wish I was prepared. I wish I was also prepared for the amount of sleepless nights that come with your child being sick and not knowing what to do. Like, having done every and anything that you can do when your child is sick, and having to wait. Because sometimes, your child is sick and you've given them the medication that they need to get better, but between them getting better is a period of real discomfort. And seeing your child in such discomfort can literally bring you to tears. Like your child is crying, you are also there crying. So sometimes you have to hold it together, and if you're a very emotional person like I am, it's kind of hard. Like I'll put my child to sleep and then I'll start crying. So I wish I knew that it would take such emotional strength for every little thing, and they take that first steps is, oh my god, you're gonna cry. When they're constipated, I don't know what to do, oh my god, you wanna cry. Like anything makes you want to cry, because you have to find the answers to everything. You can't look to anybody else unless you're looking to a doctor or whatever. But still, when you come home, it's home, you, mommy. What are the challenges you faced raising your child financially, emotionally, and spiritually? Challenges I faced raising my kid. Financially, one, I was a teen mom, and I'm still figuring my life. So having to balance between school and my side hustle was very hard, and sometimes learning to realize that, okay, I think I have to choose going to school, because in the long run this is gonna make me more money, has been hard. It's been hard trying to balance the two while also trying to balance being a mom, because sometimes, let's say I wake up in the morning, I make sure the kids have eaten. Luckily, honale, auntie and my parents at home to help me with the kid. So sometimes I'll bath the kids, make sure they've eaten, and I'll go to the back. I had like a little hair business. Go to the back, see my client. I'd be there for 4 or 5 hours. Sometimes I have back-to-back clients, so I can make enough money to get myself toiletries, get my son clothes, put fuel in my car, because I'm not sponsored by the government, by the way. So I don't get an allowance like most students. So I'd have to do all that, put fuel in my car, be able to get myself clothes to look decent like other kids do, because sometimes it's not nice to show people that, okay, you're actually struggling in life, you know. So doing all that for all those many hours, and then coming back into the house, and sometimes I come back into the house and my son is already asleep, and then the next day my son leaves bright and early for school. I see him for all of 2 seconds, he's gone with my parents, and then I'm at school the whole day, and then I come home late and he's tired and I'm tired, and I see him for like 30 minutes. I have to bath. During that 30 minutes when I'm seeing him, is the most time I get sometimes is me sitting down to eat with him, and then I bath. While I'm bathing, he's already in bed sleeping because he's tired from his day. And then, yeah. Oh, the only time I get to see him, if I'm gonna come home, let's say after 8 p.m, is when I'm picking him up. When I'm coming from school, picking him up from his school, driving him home, and then going back to school again for my other lessons. So that's been a struggle for me. Time management, not having enough money to take care of my son, because sometimes I have to sacrifice work for school. The time management thing, and also impacts me emotionally. Even not having enough money impacts me emotionally, because I feel helpless sometimes. And then spiritually, your motherhood tests you, like different phases of motherhood you're in. Sometimes it brings you closer to God, sometimes you resent God and you get angry, until you realize after the fact that, okay, maybe I passed through this stage where. So spiritually, it's pulled me both ways. It's pulled me away from God, and then literally it's had a, like, how can I call it, an elastic band effect, like where I felt like I was being pulled away from God, and then when the situation that was pulling me away from God in terms of my motherhood let go, like I kind of like fell into my relationship with God again. Motherhood is very emotional. It's a serious emotional roller coaster. Whom are the people in your life your son looks up to? My dad, me, my mom, my brother, and whomever I'm dating at the time, because then they become an influence to my son. So I always make sure that I kind of choose wisely, even though we'll say I've made some questionable choices. But yeah, my son pretty much finds a little nugget to fetch from every person that's close to us. Pretty much. If the guy you are interested in doesn't vibe with your son, are you going to break things off? You're non-negotiable. I will not even think twice. peace, deuce, we are, you know, we don't have to do this no more. We don't even have to be friends anymore. Like, it's unnecessary. I never put myself through that. If you are not with the fact that I'm a single mom, or you are not good when you speak to me and you are fully aware, because I don't hide my motherhood. Like, anybody who comes into contact with me within the first time of meeting me, they already know that I'm a mom most times, except for like when I went to school and I met my schoolmates. But the point is, because you are fully aware, if you're not telling me, I really like you, I see you in my future, and there's no mention of my son whatsoever, big red flag. So the person always has to be crazy about my son. I see Liam are, you know, Liam taking care of his little siblings, because obviously there'll be a big age gap. And if the person starts saying things like that, yeah, no, you're ticking the right boxes. But obviously you have to prove yourself, because at the time you meet my mom as uncle, I think my son as uncle, you know, whomever, and you guys are not, there's no natural chemistry, and I can see, and you guys are not vibing. Even like after 2-3 meetings, it's like, it's not necessary at all. And yeah, we will talk about my son meeting the people that I date, because I know people are going to be like, why would you let your son meet people that you're dating off the bat like that? One, my son doesn't even know I'm dating that person. Like, he's oblivious. But anyway, we'll talk about it another time. The next question says, so what I really want to know is how, this question was, I'm going to read it how it was written. It was sent to me through somebody close to me, but it wasn't like sent directly to me. Is how her life changed in terms of friendship. Like, did she see change of behavior from her friends? Were they with her till the end? Because I know these bleep ain't loyal. One more important thing I want to know is, how did she really handle the fact that the dude wanted nothing to do with the kid mentally? Hella, how did that affect her? Did she recover? Because some of us are still trying to figure out how to recover from such an experience. First of all, Mama, I'm sorry that you had to go through such a horrible experience, because it takes a lot on you emotionally, in addition to just the experience of being a mom itself. In terms of my friends, I think I have pretty loyal friends. Like, even in the first video, I did mention that my friends are constant. Like, all the people that have got my friends from back then, they never left me. They handled my pregnancy really well. They were pretty much there for me a lot of the time. The one thing that I will say is, some of my friends' parents were the ones who were skeptical. Like, I remember I was thrown a baby shower, and my best friend at the time, along with the people that were there for me during the time I found out about my pregnancy, weren't allowed to come to the baby shower, because their parents were like, no, these are the things you're doing. You guys are going around sleeping with boys and blah 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 blah. Now look, your friend is pregnant, she's such a bad influence, you're not going to baby shower. It's kind of awkward for a kid your age to be at a baby shower. So it took their parents a while to come around, but they themselves were not hostile to me in any way. They were very supportive. They treated me the same. We still went out for dinners and basketball things, even with my huge baby bump at 16 years old. When I turned 17, they all came to see the kid. And after I gave birth, they all came to see my son. And yeah, to this day, the people who were there for me, except the ones that I deliberately cut off, not because they had anything to do with treating my son badly or not being there for me, but just because we outgrow some people. To this day, all those people are still there, and they still treat my son the same way. They're still Liam's aunties and uncles. It's really no big deal. I think I have some pretty loyal friends. If anything, I think I know how to choose friends. That's the one thing I know how to do. One thing, okay. Yeah, I know how to choose friends, guys. I'm grateful for that. Let me just say. And then the second part, how did I deal with the fact that the father didn't want the child? Obviously, I was distraught. I cried a lot, especially the time when he was like hurling insults at me. I was crying, like to the point where there's a picture my mom took of me on that Joburg trip that I was talking about, and my face is swollen, but it's not like pregnant. It's like half pregnancy swollen, but the other half looks like somebody who spent the night crying, you know. But I was smiling in the picture, so you could kind of see, hey, my girl was going through something. It was hard, but I kind of just decided to accept it because I believe that everything happens for a reason. And just as I said, I didn't want him, if he ever decided to come back, I didn't want him to resent the kid. I also knew that now that this child is in the picture, I have to think of what's best for my son and not what's best for me. Sure, the guy left me high and dry. He left me hanging, but at the end of the day, my priority now became my son and not my feelings were like push those to the side. Of course it matters because if I'm depressed because of it, I won't be able to take care of my son properly, and some mothers even end up resenting their children because of that pain. But I realized that one, we weren't dating, so he didn't owe me like dating privileges or anything, and I was cool with that. But it did hurt that he wasn't there. But I did know that, look, I'm not gonna fight with this person for the sake of the relationship or for the sake of knowing that I need him to be able to be comfortable with coming back the day when he decides he's ready to step up and be a father. Because there's nothing you can do. You can't force somebody to be a parent, and you cannot force them to love their child, and you really can't force anyone to do anything. So I had to accept. Would you ever consider getting back with your child's father for the sake of raising your child with both parents present? Hell no. One, I can't get back with him because we were never together in the first place. Two, we were friends, or what I thought were friends, only for this person to backstab me at the first sign of trouble instead of trying to help me. So I'm definitely, after all those trust issues, I would definitely not be looking at him like, oh, you're cute. Good, even if he's cute, even if he's living his best life, like, I'll not be looking at him like, oh, you're so cute, oh, you're so handsome, have a crush on him. No. I can never see him in that light again. I can never look at him and be like I acknowledge it when I tell people, like the people in my life, oh, how was he characterized, or even just like physically, I tell him, yeah, he was very handsome. When I met him, he was tall, broad shoulders, I speak very highly of him, but at the same time, I will never look at him in a way I'm like, oh, I see a potential partner in you, and I can never be in a situation where I'm miserable or whatever reason just for the sake of me keeping my family close, or making a family out of whatever we have. I don't think that'll work. I think I'd be miserable, and I don't want my son to grow up in a miserable home, or in an awkward home, or in a home where his parents don't even have chemistry. I don't believe in sacrifices like that. I'm unmarried currently, and I plan on getting married to a man that if ever God blesses me with marriage, I plan on it being with somebody God-fearing, somebody whom I'm very, very much in love with, somebody who's not ill-treating me. Not that guy. Sorry. No. Yeah, also I want my son to grow up in a home where he has a good model of what a good, healthy relationship is, because I don't want him to ever get it twisted, which goes back to that question about how I plan on teaching my son how to treat a woman, because the man I want to marry is a man that knows how to treat me. So I want my son to benchmark off of that man, not his father.
Okay.
I don't know if you can hear my dad on the phone. Anyways, are you planning on telling your son that you considered aborting? Oh, this was a very controversial question, because when I told one of my friends, I read the question to one of my friends, actually to like two of my friends, and they were like, no, why would you do that? Don't tell him, your child never wants to know. But look here, I've already made these videos and I've told the story 1,000 times to so many other people that I feel like my son is gonna grow up and be like, okay, he's gonna know eventually. If this is a story I'm sharing with the whole world, he's gonna find out. So I might as well tell him. Just the same way I'm going to tell him that his dad was not there for him, or his dad was not there due to ABCD. I might have to narrate the same story to him, so I will have to tell him that, yeah, I planned on aborting you because your papa said he didn't want you. And when I found out that, look, there's actually a light at the end of the tunnel, I opted out of feeling pressured into aborting you. So by God's grace, my child, you are here, you are alive, you are well. You are not planned for, but you are the biggest blessing of my life. So yeah. It is what it is. It happens. These things happen. And I am planning on telling him regardless of how anybody feels. That's just how I plan on being a very transparent and open parent, and that also includes me telling my son the most uncomfortable things, because this might also be his story of grace. You never know. It might be, just as my mistakes are my ministry, it might be the same for him. He might just be like, oh, I wasn't meant to be born, but I was born. It's just like when people tell you that they were born out of rape. Would you not tell your child that they were born out of all for the fact that you're afraid of them knowing, or that it'll change their life? Sometimes you need to make them realize that it was all by God's grace that you are here. And even though you are born this way, you are a blessing regardless. And you know, it's hard, but we have to do what we have to do. And the very last question is, are you planning on telling him what his father put you through? Yeah, I think I just answered this. I am planning on narrating this whole story so he can know, if the father ever comes back, so he can know why the dad was not there all these years, so he can find it in his heart to forgive his father, because I've forgiven him. Yeah, I am planning on telling him. I plan on telling him everything. Thank you guys for all the questions. Thank you guys for subscribing and being so positive and uplifting. I've received a few voice notes and messages that were really touching. I was unaware that my story would touch so many people, and it's kind of overwhelming for me because I have not even begun to tell half of my story. And my story is not just the story of a teen mom. It's the story of, I have many stories to tell, many, even outside of me being a mother. And so he's outside riding his bike with my son. You'll get to meet him in due time. But yeah, I have many stories outside of me being a mom, and I feel that these stories need to be heard, or I feel like it's also healing me too. Me talking about this and knowing that so many people relate to the things that I'm going through. Yeah, so I'm super blessed to be able to have this platform and share these things with you guys, and I really appreciate the messages that you guys sent me. I cried a lot reading some of them. Thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you guys for the notification gang. Thank you guys for sharing the videos with your friends and keeping tuned to my channel. I have more in store for you, so stick around. God willing, see you guys in the next video. Peace.